Hey, everyone. Welcome to Storytelling Time, the place where every story comes alive. If you love getting lost in thrilling tales, gripping mysteries, and epic adventures, you're in the right spot. I'm your storyteller, and here, we don't just tell stories, we bring them to life. Whether it's fantasy, mystery, horror, or even a bit of comedy, we're all about immersion. So grab a snack, get comfy, and prepare for a journey that'll keep you on the edge of your seat. Trust me, you won't want to miss a single chapter. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and join the Storytelling Time family. Let's dive into the stories that await, starting now. My phone buzzed. I rolled over to look at the text my cousin Maya had just sent. "Can you send photo you took of all the girls in costume last night? Hugs and kisses." My head was throbbing. Hanging out with Maya was fun, but she was 8 years younger than me and she and her friends loved to do shots. I needed to stick with beer only if I didn't want the hangover. That's what I'd do next time. I opened my Photos app to find the picture Maya had requested. It was a group shot I had no memory of taking. It wasn't everyone who'd been at the party, just the girls who dressed up, all 5 of them smiling cheesily. The starlet, the busybody, the social climber, the professor, and the old lady, everyone dressed to impress. The most incredible costume, by far, was worn by a girl named Lee who was a stranger to this group, the new girlfriend of Maya's friend Patrick. She was a gorgeous girl in her 20s, but she'd come wearing makeup on her face that aged her 50 years. The photo of the girls wasn't great, there was a weird glare off of Maya's microwave or something, but I sent it, and then began to scroll through the other recent photos. I had no memory of any of them. It was a problem. I mean, I didn't have a problem, and everyone had gotten a little sloppy last night. But Maya's boyfriend Matthew had to get me an Uber, I was too drunk to drive home, and that was embarrassing. There were photos of Maya and Matthew being adorable, a few selfies of me with others, which were mortifying, since my makeup had smeared without me knowing, and one photo of a dead body. I deleted that one, it was blurry, and rolled over to go back to sleep. The idea of a murder mystery party had sounded corny to me at first, but Maya was great at selling the idea of a good time. "It'll be hilarious," she promised me over drinks a few weeks ago. "I've got dibs on being Josephine La Rosa, the movie star, though, so you can't take that one." I'd never been to a murder mystery party before, but Maya had explained the concept. Everyone was given a dramatic role to play, an entirely new identity for the evening. One of us would serve as the moderator, handing out index cards telling people different things they needed to say and do throughout the evening. There would be one card given to a character instructing them to pretend they'd been killed. The remainder of the evening would involve all the players trying to sort through the clues and solve the murder. I didn't want to participate. "I'm not really into role play," I told Maya. She wiggled her eyebrows at me, making me laugh. "You know what I mean, dressing up, acting. You have to do it," she insisted. I got a vision of Maya as a high school student. She was skilled in the art of peer pressure. Of course, we didn't go to high school at the same time. When I was in high school, getting bullied by the popular girls and trying to keep my head down, Maya was in grade school. My other cousin, Maya's older brother Steven, was a year ahead of me in school. We were friends back then, but I didn't see him much these days. He was married, with 2 kids who were the kind of adorable that made me ache. I didn't like thinking about Steven and his perfect family. "I'll come," I promised Maya. "But I'm not dressing up." Before the party, I'd made a rule for myself, no beer, only liquor. I had a tendency to pound beers but was better at slowly sipping a mixed drink. A party like this was literally my worst nightmare. Every other girl was confident, impressive in their role. Maya was an effervescent Hollywood starlet. Her three closest girlfriends, Molly, Miranda, and Tess, had clearly gotten ready all together, and their costumes were spectacular. They were a close-knit group, and it made me miss my closest girlfriends, who I didn't see as much these days. It was when Lee entered that I started to feel overwhelmed. There was a flurry of activity when she walked in with Patrick, the girls oohing and aahing at her costume and makeup, Maya's buddy Aaron grabbing her cane and poking her with it flirtatiously. "So nice to meet you all," Lee had croaked in a faux old lady voice. Why were some girls so beautiful that they could twist their faces gruesomely and still grab the attention of every guy in the room? Even Matthew stared at her, his mouth agape, when she entered. I elbowed him, which seemed to snap him out of it. "She's hot, but you have a girlfriend who's my cousin," I'd whispered to him. Matthew had shaken his head, grinning back at me. We got along well. From our conversations, I knew that he had also been an ugly duckling in high school. Maya had shown me his old yearbook, laughing affectionately at his bow tie and buck teeth. With a bit of dental work and a six-figure job, he was now a catch and had the confidence that went with it. That stung a little. Ugly ducklings can either grow into swans, or into sloppy ducks like me. As the party got going, I let myself fade into the background. Everyone else had slipped into character so easily, but I just hovered near the snack table and laughed along. I had one vodka soda, then another. I caught snippets of conversation, someone flirting with Aaron, someone teasing Patrick about Lee being too cool for their group. Then came the moment Matthew handed Lee the card, the one with the fake murder instructions. We all saw her grin and vanish down the hallway, her cane tapping dramatically as she went. I remember thinking she was good. Like, really good. Maybe she had acting experience. She'd even used ketchup to make it look like she'd bled out dramatically across Maya's bathroom tiles. When we found her, people laughed and groaned, Miranda fanning herself like a southern belle in distress. "Classic," someone said. 10 out of 10. And it had been. A perfect fake death. Only, it turned out, it wasn't the only one. By noon, the hangover had settled into something almost manageable. I lay on my couch sipping coconut water and watching a crime docuseries I couldn't focus on. My phone buzzed again. "Maya, LOL, that pic is so weird. Why do I look like I'm glowing?" I pulled up the photo again. There was something odd about it, not just Maya. Everyone's face looked off. Almost smeared at the edges. Maybe it was the glare, or the quality of my phone camera, or something with the filter. But then I noticed something that made my stomach twist. There were 6 girls in the photo. There should have been 5. I counted again. Maya, Molly, Miranda, Tess, and Lee, and a 6th figure. She was barely in frame. At the edge of the picture, just over Miranda's shoulder, a girl stood half in shadow. She wore a white dress, or maybe a hospital gown. Her hair hung in her face, and her skin looked pale and waxy. I didn't remember anyone dressed like that. I zoomed in. Her eyes weren't visible, just the shadow of her hair and an impression of a face. A suggestion of a smirk. I texted Maya. "Me, who's the girl behind Miranda?" A minute passed. Then. "Maya, what girl?" Another buzz. "Maya, there's nobody behind Miranda." I looked again. The girl was still there. Watching us. My hands went cold. I double-checked the photo's timestamp. It had been taken just before the murder game started, before Lee had gotten her card, before she'd gone to die. And the girl in white. She hadn't been at the party. She shouldn't have been in the picture. But she was. And now that I'd seen her, I couldn't stop seeing her. In the reflection of my TV. In the window across from my couch. Standing. Waiting. That night, I couldn't sleep. I left the TV on, something light and forgettable, but every time I closed my eyes, I saw her, the sixth girl, the one in white. Her face was always slightly different, smudged, melted, sometimes grinning too wide. Once, I saw her reflected in the black of the TV screen. I turned it off. Then on again. Off. On. Nothing helped. At 2:17 a.m., my phone rang. It was Maya. Maya? I croaked. Are you okay? She didn't answer right away. I could hear her breathing. Rapid, shaky. She's in my apartment, she whispered. I sat up straight. What? She's here. I saw her in the photo after you said something. And now I keep seeing her in the mirror. She's standing behind me. Right now. Maya, I said slowly, trying to stay calm. Get out of there. Walk out of the apartment. Go to Matthew's or... I can't move, she breathed. She's looking at me. I threw on a hoodie and jeans over my pajamas. I'm coming over, okay? Just stay on the phone with me. I'm not kidding, she whispered. Her face, she's not human. Then the line went dead. I screamed her name into the phone, tried calling back. No answer. I grabbed my keys and ran out into the cold night air. Maya only lived 15 minutes away. I ran 2 red lights, gripping the wheels so tightly my hands hurt. When I pulled into her apartment complex, I saw her window lit up. The curtains were open. And someone was standing there. It wasn't Maya. It was the girl in white. She tilted her head slowly, like she knew I was watching. By the time I reached the door, it was locked. I banged on it. Called Maya's name. No answer. I was about to call 911 when the door opened. Maya stood there, pale, trembling, her eyes wide. She's gone, she said. She was in the mirror, and then she wasn't. I stared at her. Are you sure? Maya nodded, but her eyes were hollow. She left. But I don't think she left for good. I believed her. Because as I glanced past her into the apartment, I saw something scrawled on the bathroom mirror behind her in what looked like red lipstick. Or maybe blood. Who took my place? It was strange how grief and horror could coexist. The day after Maya's mirror incident, the news broke. Lee was dead. Not pretend dead. Not covered in ketchup dead. Not murder mystery party dead. Actually dead. They found her in her apartment, just a few blocks from the party. It had been her roommate who called it in. She hadn't shown up to work or responded to texts. The body was discovered in the bathroom, slumped next to the tub, makeup still on. Only, the makeup had run. Her face looked like it had melted. And there were no signs of trauma. No drugs or alcohol in her system. Nothing to suggest how she died at all. Except her expression. The coroner's report would later say she died of sudden cardiac arrest of unknown origin. But I'd seen the photo. I'd seen the girl in white. And I'd seen Lee's face that night. She was afraid. More afraid than anyone who was pretending to be a murder victim should have been. I called Maya immediately. It wasn't just a glitch. That photo. That girl. You saw her, didn't you? Yes, she whispered. And now Lee's gone. I didn't know what to say. We weren't the only ones shaken. Tess and Miranda started texting Maya non-stop. Molly posted a black and white photo of Lee to her Instagram story with a single word, unreal. Patrick, Lee's boyfriend, had gone quiet. He didn't show up to work. Deleted his social media. Maya said she tried calling him and he answered, but didn't speak. Just silence. Then he hung up. It was like something had reached out from that party and touched us all. Marked us. The next night, I had a dream. I was standing in the bathroom at Maya's place. Only it wasn't quite her bathroom anymore. Everything was aged, decayed, tiles yellowed and cracked, the mirror warped like it was underwater. I looked into the mirror, and the reflection wasn't mine. It was the girl in white. Her face leaned toward mine, too close to be possible, like the mirror wasn't glass but water and she was rising through it. Her mouth moved, but there was no sound. Then I woke up. My phone was buzzing. A new message. From, unknown. You shouldn't have deleted the photo. I stared at the message for a long time. It had no sender. Just, unknown. No reply option, no timestamp. Just the text. You shouldn't have deleted the photo. I hadn't told anyone I'd deleted it. My chest tightened. I tried to steady my breath. It was probably Maya, playing a sick joke. Or maybe one of her friends had overheard me say something. Or, it could be someone spoofing my number. That was a thing, right? But no matter how many explanations I conjured up, I couldn't deny the sense that something was watching me. Not just paranoia. Presence. Like being underwater and feeling a current shift, subtle but undeniable. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. By morning, the sunlight looked too sharp. Every sound too loud. I made coffee I didn't drink, and sat on my couch scrolling news reports about Lee's death. Nothing new. Nothing helpful. Then my phone rang. It was Patrick. I hadn't heard from him since the party. He sounded like someone who just climbed out of a grave. "Did you see her too?" he asked. "See who?" "You know who." There was a pause. I could hear him breathing, like he was trying to decide whether or not to say it. Then, the girl in white. Chills ran down my arms. "Yes," I whispered. He let out a shaky laugh, more like a sob. "She followed Lee home. I saw her. That night. I thought it was part of the game. I thought it was, God, I don't know what I thought. But when Lee died, I knew." "Knew what?" "That she's real." "No," I said. "She can't be. It was just a reflection. A trick of the light. Something." "No," Patrick interrupted. "She's real. And she's angry." I didn't know what to say. A memory rose, uninvited, Lee's laughter as she hobbled down the hall, her cane clicking, her face aged and painted, playing dead like it was just a game. It hadn't been a game. Not to all of us. "She's punishing us," Patrick said quietly. "For laughing. For pretending." Then the line went dead. I tried to call him back, but it went straight to voicemail. And I had the sudden, chilling thought. What if he was next? I tried to convince myself Patrick was just shaken. Grieving. Not thinking straight. But when I called Maya to ask if she'd heard from him, her voice was tight. "He's not answering," she said. "I've been calling him all morning. I even messaged his roommate, and he said Patrick never came home." I felt the now familiar twist of fear in my gut. Maybe he just needed space. No. He left his car. His wallet. His keys. What about Lee's stuff? Has her family come to town? There was a pause. That's the weird thing. Nobody can get a hold of her parents. Patrick said they were traveling, but I don't even know where they live. Do you? I didn't. And when I thought about it, I realized I knew almost nothing about Lee. None of us did. She said she was from Oregon, I murmured. Didn't she? I thought she said Ohio. That stopped me. Wait. Maya. What was her last name? There was another silence. It stretched too long. Oh my God, she said finally. I don't know. Neither did I. A girl had come to our party. She died. And none of us even knew her full name. My throat felt tight. We need to tell someone. The police. About the photo. About her. But Maya was quiet again. When she spoke, her voice was small. I saw her too, she said. This morning. In the hallway mirror. A lump formed in my throat. She wasn't there at first, Maya continued. But when I looked again, she was. She was standing behind me. What did she do? Nothing, she whispered. She just smiled. Later that night, I couldn't sleep. I paced the apartment. Checked the locks. Closed every mirror with a towel or bedsheet. I knew it wouldn't help. I opened my laptop, hoping distraction would do the trick. Instead, I found something I hadn't seen before, a draft email addressed to no one, unsent. My hands trembled as I clicked it open. It said, "She's not a ghost. She's a punishment. A reminder." We laughed at death. Now it laughs back. My reflection flickered in the laptop screen. Only, it wasn't just mine. There was someone behind me. Smiling. The morning after the email, I packed a bag and drove to Maya's apartment. I didn't call first, I just showed up. When she opened the door, she looked like she hadn't slept. Her eyes were rimmed red, and she had one of her throw blankets wrapped around her shoulders like a shawl. "You saw her again," I said. Maya didn't answer. She just stepped aside to let me in. The apartment was darker than usual. All the curtains drawn. Every mirror covered. "You did all this?" I asked. She nodded. "Matthew helped before he left for work. He doesn't believe me, not really, but he was scared enough to go along with it." I sat down on the couch, next to the Halloween decorations she still hadn't taken down. The fake cobwebs were starting to droop. A plastic raven stared blankly from the mantel. "I think we did something," Maya said. "What do you mean?" "I mean we played a game about murder, and someone actually died. That has to mean something. It's like we broke a rule we didn't know was real." I didn't laugh, even though it sounded ridiculous. Because I was starting to believe it too. What if the murder wasn't fake? Maya whispered. What if the whole thing was the wrong kind of ritual? We were pretending to be people we weren't. We said things we didn't understand. What if? I don't know. What if we invited her? Lee. No, Maya said. The other one. The one in the picture. We both stared at each other, not saying her name. We didn't know her name. That was the worst part. She had no name, no story. Just a smirk and a presence. I stood. We have to go back. To the house. Where the party was. Maya's eyes widened. Why? Because if this is a game, it has to end where it started. That night, we broke into Maya's family's vacation house. The place had a weird stillness, like it remembered what happened. The bathroom tiles were clean now, no blood, fake or otherwise, but I remembered the image of Lee's body sprawled on the floor. We brought flashlights, candles, a copy of the original party instructions, Maya's note cards. We found them in a drawer, stuffed behind a box of old board games. We spread them out on the kitchen table. "Someone wrote these," I said. "Let's find out who." Maya sifted through the cards. Her hands were shaking. "This one's blank," she said. She handed it to me. One of the index cards, the same kind all the characters had used, but with nothing on it. Not even a faint imprint. I held it up to the candlelight. And slowly, in the heat, faint black letters began to appear. She was never assigned. She came uninvited. Now the invitation is yours. I dropped the card. The candle flickered. From the dark hallway, we heard the tapping sound. A cane on tile. Then, a low, raspy chuckle. We ran. Maya didn't even scream, just bolted out the back door, and I was right behind her. The sound of that cane echoed in my ears long after we were back in the car, long after I locked the doors and turned the ignition with trembling fingers. Neither of us said anything on the drive home. Later that night, we talked. Whispered, really, like the walls might be listening. She wasn't part of the game, Maya said. But now she is the game. I didn't want to hear that. I wanted to believe we were just scared, drunk, grieving. That the creepy photo was a trick of the light, the sound of the cane a memory twisted by fear. But deep down, I knew better. The next morning, we got another email. This time, it was sent to all of us, the whole party guest list. Even Patrick. Even Aaron. Even Lee. Only this time, it wasn't blank. A second invitation has been sent. One of you has accepted. The next round begins at midnight. Come dressed to die. There was no sender name. Just the subject line, round 2. What the hell does that mean? Miranda wrote in the group chat. Is this some sick prank? Tess chimed in. Nobody owned up to it. Patrick didn't reply at all. Then Aaron posted a screenshot. It was a selfie taken in his apartment mirror, right before bed. But in the background, blurry and pale in the hallway behind him, was her. The girl in the white dress. The girl we hadn't invited. Not funny, Aaron texted. But no one was laughing. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, phone in hand, watching the time crawl toward midnight. At 11:59, I got a text. Not from Maya. Not from anyone in my contacts. Just a single message from an unknown number. Your role has been assigned. Don't forget your costume. There was an attachment. A photo. It was me. From the party. Only, it wasn't the photo I remembered. In this one, I was lying on the floor of Maya's bathroom, ketchup pooling around my head. Except it wasn't ketchup. My eyes were open, glassy. My neck twisted too far. And over me, casting a long shadow across the tile, was the girl in white. Smiling. I didn't put on the costume. Of course I didn't. I wasn't going to play along. Not this time. Instead, I called Maya. No answer. I texted her, nothing. I even debated driving to her apartment, but I was too shaken. That photo, that thing in the photo, it wasn't something you could explain away. It was a threat dressed as a warning. Midnight came and went. Nothing happened. I sat on my couch, every light in the apartment blazing, clutching a heavy flashlight like it could protect me. Maybe it was all some elaborate prank. Maybe someone was trying to scare us into confessing something, or turning on each other. But for what? A game? A dare? Revenge? I didn't sleep, not really. And when the morning light came and I finally let myself blink away the exhaustion, my phone was already buzzing. Maya had texted. "Are you okay? I didn't get anything." "What costume?" I stared at it for a long time. "Me, you didn't get a message?" "No text." "Maya, nothing." I stayed up just in case. No midnight message, no photo. Just, nothing. Then she added. "Are you sure it wasn't a dream?" I didn't answer. Because when I opened my Photos app, the photo wasn't there anymore. No bloody bathroom. No shadowy figure. Nothing. Just the same old picture of the five of us in costume, and her. Always her. At the edge. Watching. At work, I couldn't focus. I kept catching my reflection in the glass door and flinching. I imagined her behind me. Every time my phone buzzed, I jumped. Nothing came all day. Just spam, work stuff, a reminder that my car insurance was due. Then that night, just after sunset, someone knocked on my apartment door. 3 sharp taps. I stood frozen, not breathing. They knocked again. I grabbed the flashlight, my weapon of choice, and crept to the peephole. There was no one there. No footsteps down the hall. No voices. Just the stillness of the hallway outside. But when I opened the door, heart hammering, I saw it. A small white envelope. No name. Just a wax seal shaped like an eye. I brought it inside with tongs. I didn't want to touch it. I didn't want any part of it. Inside was a single card. "You are the witness. Your silence will not protect you." I flipped the card over. On the back was another photo. A candid one, taken from behind my living room window. Of me, sitting on my couch. And standing behind me. She was closer this time. I stared at the photograph for a long time. The image was grainy, slightly tilted, as if taken quickly, without care for angles or focus. My own form was recognizable, slouched on the couch, phone in hand, eyes wide in the blue glow of the TV. But the part that made my breath catch. She was right behind me. Closer than before. Close enough to touch my hair. No details to her face. Still just the curtain of hair, the suggestion of a smirk. But there was something else this time, her hand, half raised. As if she were reaching for me. Or about to speak. I dropped the photo. I paced. I cried. I nearly called the police, but what would I say? A dead girl is stalking me through photographs. They'd take me in for a psych evaluation before they sent anyone out to help. Instead, I called Maya. She answered immediately. "I got one," I whispered. Another message. Another photo. She was quiet for a moment. I didn't. "You sure?" "I'm sure." Her voice dropped to a hush. "I think it's just you now." I didn't go to work the next day. I turned off my phone. I unplugged my TV, my laptop, everything with a camera. I taped black construction paper over the windows. I lit candles like that would somehow protect me, like some trembling saint trying to ward off a demon. It didn't help. Around 3 a.m., I heard the tapping. 3 soft knocks, not on the door this time, but on the living room window. The one I'd covered in paper. I crept closer, heart pounding so loudly I thought I might black out. I peeled back a corner of the paper. Nothing. Just empty air. I dropped the paper again and turned, only to find a new envelope on the floor behind me. I hadn't heard the door open. I hadn't seen anyone come in. Inside the envelope was a card with a single line. "You saw what happened." My blood turned to ice. I didn't know what it meant. I hadn't seen anything, had I? But the card burned in my hands like guilt. Like memory. Like maybe I had. The dead girl. The shadow in the photo. Lee. The bathroom. The ketchup blood. No. Not ketchup. Not fake. I'd told myself it had been a game. But what if it wasn't? What if someone had really killed her that night? What if Lee hadn't faked her death? What if she tried to get back up, and someone made sure she never did? And what if the photo was proof I'd seen it happen? I went to Maya's the next morning. She let me in without a word. Her eyes were hollow, like she hadn't slept either. She wore a hoodie with the sleeves pulled over her hands and didn't bother offering coffee or making a joke. Something had shifted. "You said it was just me now," I said, stepping inside. "What did you mean?" Maya sat on the edge of her couch and stared at the floor. "The photos, the girl, she stopped showing up for me. But she's still in my head. She's still. I don't know. Watching. Do you think it's Lee?" "I don't know what I think." I hesitated. "Maya, did anything weird happen that night? Like, anything actually weird, not just the party?" She bit her lip. "There's something I haven't told you." A pause. Then. "I saw Patrick go into the bathroom after Lee." My stomach dropped. "What?" "Just before we were supposed to find her. Everyone was joking and drinking. But I saw him slip down the hallway. He looked weird. Off." "Did he come back?" "Yeah. A couple minutes later. Didn't say anything. Just grabbed another drink." I leaned against the wall, dizzy. "You don't think?" "I don't know what to think," Maya said. "But when we found her, she was so still. Too still. You know what I mean. Everyone said she was playing dead. But what if she wasn't playing?" We spent the next hour going over everything. Lee's arrival. The flirting. The card from Matthew. Her dramatic walk down the hall. And then, the timeline cracked. "We found her 20 minutes later," Maya said, pacing. "But Tess said she went to the bathroom right after Lee and it was locked. She knocked, remember?" I did remember. Tess had banged on the door and made some dumb joke about old people taking forever. "But she said she heard Lee talking," I said. "Like in the old lady voice." Maya went still. "No. Tess said she thought she heard something. But what if it wasn't Lee? What if it was Patrick?" She didn't answer. I reached into my bag and pulled out the card. "You saw what happened. I think she's trying to show us something," I said. "I think Lee, or whoever she was, is not finished with us." Maya looked at me, her face pale. "Then we'd better find out what really happened." That night, we decided to do something reckless. We went back to the house. Maya still had the keys, she and Matthew had been house-sitting for a family friend. No one was supposed to be there now. The party decorations were still up, slightly deflated balloons hanging limp in the corners. The smell of cheap vodka lingered. We stood in the hallway. "I'll open the door," I whispered. Maya just nodded. I turned the knob slowly. The bathroom door creaked open. The lights flickered. And there, in the reflection of the mirror, she stood behind us again. Not a shadow. Not a smirk. This time, her face was clear. Lee. But her eyes were black. And she was pointing. Right at the floor. Maya screamed. Because beneath the bath mat, something was soaking through. The bath mat squelched when I lifted it. A sour, coppery scent filled the small bathroom, stronger now, no longer masked by air freshener and party perfumes. Beneath the mat was a dark, dried stain, brown at the edges, almost black in the center. I touched it with the tip of my shoe. Blood. Maya backed away, hand over her mouth. "That wasn't there before," she whispered. "It must have been," I said, but my voice didn't sound like mine. It just wasn't visible. The mirror was empty now. No Lee. Just two frightened girls in a bathroom full of ghosts. "We need to go," Maya said. "No. We need to look." She flinched. "Why?" "Because she brought us here." We searched in silence. The sink cabinet held only hair ties, extra toilet paper, some cleaning spray. But Maya's eyes flicked toward the narrow laundry chute next to the toilet, a strange little door with a rusty latch, barely big enough for a small backpack. "I forgot about that," she said. "It leads to the basement." We stared at it. Neither of us moved. Then the lights went out. Maya gasped. I fumbled for my phone and turned on the flashlight. The beam shook in my hand. Something scratched behind the chute door. No wind. No settling pipes. Something deliberate. I knelt down, heart pounding, and slowly opened it. A rush of air hit my face, damp, cold, and smelling like rot. The flashlight caught something down below. A glint. A smear. I reached in with the phone, angling the light. Then I saw it. A second costume wig. White, curled. Identical to Lee's. And beneath it, a phone. Lee's phone. Still powered on. Still recording. We sat on the living room couch, Maya hugging a throw pillow to her chest as I clicked through the phone's contents. There were dozens of videos. Mostly short clips. Selfies. Party moments. Then one file, time-stamped the night of the party. 22 minutes after Lee had taken her card. The file name was a string of numbers, but the preview frame showed the bathroom ceiling. I pressed play. There was shuffling. A cough. Then a voice. "Hey, wait, why are you?" Something clattered. The sound of feet scuffling. A cry. Lee's voice again, strained. "Patrick, what the hell, this isn't funny." Then a scream. Muffled. Cut short. Silence. 5 seconds of nothing but the soft, rhythmic buzz of electricity. Then another sound. Whispering. Close to the microphone. A voice, but not Lee's. Not Patrick's. Something cold and rasping. "You saw what happened. And you lied." The video cut out. Maya was crying. "I didn't know," she said over and over. I didn't know what he did. We don't know everything yet, I said, though my mouth had gone dry. But we have proof now. That she didn't just disappear. She's trying to punish us, Maya whispered. She won't stop. Not until it's all out. I looked at the phone again. The screen had gone black. But then it lit up. New notification. Just one word. Run. The lights flickered back on. Maya's living room was suddenly too bright, too quiet. We both jumped at the shift, our eyes adjusting too slowly to the sudden return of normalcy that didn't feel normal at all. Maya grabbed her keys. I'm not staying here, she said. I don't care what time it is, I'm not staying in this house with that thing watching. I didn't argue. I couldn't. My own legs felt like jelly, but I managed to grab Lee's phone and tuck it into my jacket pocket. It felt heavier than it should have. Like it held more than just data. Where are we going? I asked as we reached the front door. To Matthew's, she said. He's at work, but I know the code. She hesitated before opening the door. What? I asked. I don't want her to follow us. I looked over my shoulder, at the mirror down the hall, now just a mirror again. At the bathroom door, half closed. She's already following, I said. We just have to move faster. The drive to Matthew's apartment was mostly quiet. Maya gripped the wheel like she was trying to strangle it. I kept checking the rearview mirror. Not for cars. For her. Every shadow looked like it might move. Every flicker of a street lamp became a twitch of something watching us. But we made it. Pulled into the parking garage. Took the elevator up to the 7th floor, our nerves riding shotgun the entire way. Maya punched in the code and we stepped into Matthew's place, neat, clean, expensive. It didn't smell like fear here. Not yet. She locked the door behind us and dropped onto the couch, eyes wide and blinking. What do we do now? We figure out what's real, I said. Lee's phone, it proves something happened. It proves Patrick lied. Maya closed her eyes. I knew something was off about them. The way he treated her when no one was looking. Like she was a trophy he wanted to keep shiny. But Lee, she was her own person. She wasn't going to play that role forever. I nodded. Do you think Patrick? I don't know. Her voice cracked. But I think he's scared. And I think we should be too. I pulled out the phone again. There were more files. Some dated earlier, before the party. One was a screen recording of a message thread. Between Lee and someone saved as. No photo. No number. The last message read. You were warned. You wore the wrong face. You let them play pretend while the real mask slipped. Then. They'll all see you soon. I looked up at Maya. There's something bigger going on. She looked pale. You think it's a ghost? A haunting? I think it's a warning. Just then, the TV turned on by itself. Static. Then an image. The photo. The one I took. The one with the 6th girl. Only now, she was standing in the center of the group. Smiling. Like she'd always been there. Maya screamed. And the screen went black. Neither of us spoke for a long time. The TV remained dark, the screen a glossy void that reflected just enough of our shapes to make it look like someone, or something, else was in the room. Maya was shaking. I didn't touch the remote, she whispered. I know. We sat frozen for a few more moments, listening to the hum of the refrigerator, the distant buzz of the building's elevator, the soft ticking of Matthew's designer wall clock. Then I said what I was afraid to say. She moved. What? In the photo. She wasn't in the center before. Maya's face went white. No. She was at the edge. I nodded. Now she's not. She's closer. She's inserting herself. Into the group. Into reality. The words sounded ridiculous. If I had said them even a day ago, I would have laughed at myself. But something had shifted. And it wasn't just inside me. Lee was dead. Her phone had been hidden. A strange girl had appeared in the photograph, and now, somehow, impossibly, she was getting closer. Maya stood. I can't just sit here waiting. We need to do something. Like what? I don't know. A seance? Burn sage? Call a priest? I looked at Lee's phone again. Flipped through more files. I opened the voice memos. There were 2 recordings, one dated the night of the party. I pressed play. Lee's voice came through, shaky but determined. He doesn't know I know. About the camera. About what he did after the party. I think he knows I'm going to say something. If anything happens to me, it was Patrick. And if you see her, don't look directly at her. That's how she gets in. I paused the recording. Maya's eyes were wide. She knew, she whispered. She knew something was going to happen. And she knew about the girl. We both turned toward the dark TV screen again, hearts pounding. Maya whispered, she gets in through your eyes. No, I said. Through your attention. Through being seen. We had looked at her photo. We had focused on her. And now she wasn't just in a frame, she was trying to move beyond it. That night, neither of us slept. We kept the lights on. Kept the TV off. Every shadow made us flinch. Every sound made our hearts thud harder. I watched the windows. Maya watched the mirror. And somewhere, just at the edge of it all, I swear I heard a voice like static, whispering. One more look. The next morning, Maya didn't answer her phone. I called once. Twice. Left a voicemail. Then I texted, call me as soon as you're awake. Something's wrong. But the hours passed with nothing. Around noon, I drove to her apartment. The parking lot was quiet. Too quiet. Her car was there, the little red Civic she loved but always complained about. The windows were fogged from the inside. A strange detail. I knocked on her apartment door, no answer. I knocked harder. Still nothing. I walked around to the back, where her bedroom window faced the alley. The curtain was pulled tight, but there was something behind it, movement, I thought. A flicker of shadow. My heart started pounding. I pulled out my phone and called her again. I heard it ringing, from inside the apartment. And then it stopped. I stood frozen, staring at that closed curtain. Then I heard the deadbolt slide. Maya opened the door. She looked like hell. Maya, I said, reaching for her. Are you okay? She nodded too quickly. Yeah. Yeah, I'm fine. I just didn't sleep. Her eyes were ringed with purple shadows. Her skin looked papery. She stepped aside, and I walked in, noticing that the apartment was ice cold. The AC was blasting, even though it was barely 60 degrees outside. Maya, I said, what happened? She closed the door behind me. Locked it. Deadbolt. Chain. Then she turned to face me, and whispered, I think something followed us home. We sat on the couch wrapped in blankets, sipping reheated coffee. She clutched her mug like a lifeline. After you left, Maya said, I started seeing her. I didn't ask who. I already knew. At first I thought it was a dream. I'd wake up and feel like someone was in the room. But then yesterday, I was in the bathroom, brushing my teeth, and the mirror, her voice cracked. She was behind me. Just for a second. Then gone. I rubbed her shoulder. Maya, it's not just you. I've seen her too. Maya stared at me, horror blooming in her expression. But why? Why us? I don't know. But I think it has something to do with Lee. With the party. Maya hesitated. There's something I didn't tell you. What? I found something in the trash yesterday. Crumpled up like it had been thrown away. It was one of the index cards. From the game. That shouldn't have meant anything, except. The cards were all collected, I said. Matthew gathered them at the end. Maya shook her head. Not this one. This one wasn't one of ours. She got up and went to the kitchen drawer. Pulled out a stained, torn index card and handed it to me. In shaky handwriting, it read. You will not be the only one to die tonight. And beneath that. When the lights go out, she will come. The index card felt heavy in my hands. You're sure this wasn't part of the game? I asked. Maya shook her head. Positive. The writing's different. And no one used cards like this, ours were typed. Patrick printed them. I traced the faint smear on the corner. Dried red. Not ink. Where did you find it? In the bathroom trash. The one where Lee, Maya trailed off, her eyes watering. Where she died. The air between us grew still. We both knew what that meant. She was already there, I said. Before Lee was even picked. Whoever, whatever, she is. Maya looked around like the walls might whisper back. Do you think this thing planned it? I think someone invited her, I said quietly. Even if they didn't mean to. Maya's voice dropped to a whisper. What do we do? I didn't have an answer. But we needed help. We drove in silence to the library. Not just any library, the old one on Hamilton Street, with the half-burnt wing and the sagging roof, the one they said was haunted even before Lee died. There was a woman there, a local historian named Mrs. Evelyn Rhodes. She had been friends with my grandmother and knew all the town's old secrets. The kind of woman who treated knowledge like power. When I was a kid, she told me ghost stories in the children's reading room until the lights flickered. She was waiting when we arrived, like she'd expected us. I heard about the party, she said. Her voice was low and sandpapery. You saw her, didn't you? My breath caught. You know who she is? Mrs. Rhodes nodded. Her name was Lydia Merrill. The name hit like a chill. She lived here. In the 20s. A quiet girl. Said to be strange, heard voices, they said. She died young. Throat slit. They never found who did it. And now she's haunting us? Maya asked. She's not a ghost, Mrs. Rhodes said. Not anymore. When you pretend death, when you make a game of it, sometimes it listens. Sometimes it answers. I thought of the card. You will not be the only one to die tonight. She was invited in, I murmured. Mrs. Rhodes nodded solemnly. And if she wasn't properly sent back, if the game never ended, then she's still playing. Maya looked terrified. So how do we end it? Mrs. Rhodes leaned closer. You finished the game. The way she never got to. The box of old index cards felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds in my lap. We sat in Maya's living room, all the lights on, the curtains drawn. Matthew, Patrick, Molly, Miranda, and Tess had all come, more out of guilt and fear than friendship. They didn't know what we were about to do. Only that we needed to finish what we started. I looked at Maya, who nodded grimly. Do it. I took a deep breath and stood. Welcome back, players, I said, mimicking the moderator voice from the night of the party. Tonight, we're finishing what we started. No costumes. No accents. Just truth. They stared at me, confused and wary. I passed out the index cards, one by one. Each one had a new role. Everyone would have a part to play. Only I knew who the new victim was. And who the killer would be. This time, there was no faking it. But no one else needed to die. We're doing this to set something right, I told them. Don't ask questions. Just follow your cards. When the time comes, you'll know. Maya lit candles. Not for atmosphere, for protection, Mrs. Rhodes said. The kind of light that kept spirits at bay long enough to finish what needed to be done. And then the door creaked. Someone else was here. I didn't need to look. I felt her. Lydia. Maya gasped softly. I followed her eyes. There, standing in the hallway, just where Lee had collapsed all those nights ago, was the girl in white. She wasn't transparent. She wasn't glowing. She just was. Real. Solid. Smiling. The game had begun. I turned to the group. Let's start with introductions. Tell us your new names. Your secrets. One by one. They obeyed, slowly at first, then more fluidly, falling back into the rhythm of the game. Lydia watched from the hallway, silent. When it was my turn, I stepped forward. My name is Clara, I said, reading from the card. I witnessed something terrible. I kept it secret. I let someone die. Maya's breath caught. Patrick stepped up. My name is Elias. I lied. I wanted her dead. I watched her suffer. Molly looked pale. I'm Isabel. I did nothing. I turned away. And on it went. Each confession was fictional. But it wasn't. They spoke the truth through characters. Told what they couldn't admit aloud. And Lydia listened. When the last card was read, the lights flickered. The candles bent, but didn't go out. And then, finally, Lydia stepped forward. She raised one hand and pointed, at me. Everyone froze. You brought me here, she said. Her voice sounded like leaves in wind. You saw me. I'm sorry, I said. You remembered. Yes. And she smiled. Then turned. Then vanished. Just like that. Gone. The light steadied. The air warmed. The pressure in the room lifted. The game was over. The morning after the final game, I woke up before dawn. For the first time in weeks, the apartment felt quiet. No shadows. No phantom footsteps. No presence just beyond the door. I sat in the kitchen, watching the light shift from gray to gold, sipping coffee that had gone cold hours ago. Maya called around 9. Her voice was hoarse from crying, or maybe relief. "She's gone, right?" she asked. "I think so," I said. "Do you think we did the right thing?" I didn't answer right away. I wasn't sure what the right thing was anymore. But the truth, spoken through those rolls, aired in a ritual only we could understand, had done something. Unknotted something. Released something. She wanted to be seen, I said. Now she has been. Later that day, I returned to the house. Maya had put it up for sale. She couldn't stay there. None of us could. The bathroom was spotless. No stains. No smell. No sign of what had happened. Yet I still saw her there in my mind, Lee's body sprawled like a broken doll, her makeup smeared, her eyes empty. I stepped out onto the back porch. Leaves rustled gently, a breeze skimming the tops of the overgrown grass. And there, behind the garden, near the edge of the fence, I noticed something new. A small mound of dirt. Fresh. Someone had dug there recently. Heart pounding, I crossed the yard and dropped to my knees. My fingers brushed something hard. Plastic. A phone. Lee's phone. I pulled it out, hands shaking. The battery was dead, but when I charged it later that night, I found photos. So many photos. Pictures of the party. Selfies. Blurry candids. And one video. Lee, filming herself in the bathroom mirror, hours before the game began. "I don't know these people," she said into the camera, whispering like someone might overhear. "They're all so fake. But Patrick, he's not who I thought he was. I think he..." The video cut off. But it was enough. I sent the footage to the police. Gave them everything. They reopened the case. And this time, they didn't write it off as an accident. The anniversary came and went with rain. Maya didn't throw any parties that fall. She'd moved out of state and started over somewhere quieter. We still talked, sometimes. She was doing better. She'd even stopped dyeing her hair and let her natural curls grow wild. I liked that version of her. As for me, I kept the photo. The one with the 6 girls. The one that started it all. It no longer glitched when I opened it. No more extra face. No more smirking shadow in the background. Just 5 girls in costume, smiling under the cheap kitchen light. I still don't know if the 6th girl was real. A ghost. A memory. A warning. But I remember her. Sometimes I think that's all ghosts want. To be remembered. The cops never arrested Patrick. There wasn't enough to tie him to Lee's death. But he moved, too, quietly, and suddenly. Word was he left the country. Maybe he got scared. Maybe he had reason to. The rest of the group scattered like ash. Tess and Miranda fell out. Molly started a podcast about true crime and trauma and the lies we tell ourselves. I've never listened to it. Every Halloween, I light a candle. Just one. For Lee. For the girl behind the girl. For whoever's still listening. The box arrived on a Thursday. No return address. Just my name, handwritten in small, deliberate print. Inside, a framed photo. The same one. The group of girls from that night. But not exactly. This one was different. It was clearer, sharper. As if taken by a better camera. The colors more vivid, the shadows deeper. But most chilling of all, there were 7 girls now. The original 5, still smiling. The 6th girl in white, no longer blurry, her face visible this time. Pale lips curled in a near smile, eyes blank and black like burnt-out bulbs. And then, at the far right, a 7th girl. Me. Only, I didn't remember posing for that shot. My costume. My face. My hand holding a glass of something dark. I stared at it for a long time, too long. Trying to rationalize. Maybe someone was playing a trick. Maybe it was AI. Maybe it was a very bad joke. But my hand trembled when I picked up the frame. Cold radiated from the glass. The girls stared back at me, unchanged. Then, just as I turned away, I saw it. In the reflection of the frame. A figure. Standing behind me.